We have another NASCAR lawsuit. Legacy Motor Club has sued Rick Ware Racing. On Wednesday, Kyle Larson unveiled his Indy 500 and Coke 600 cars. Plus, NASCAR Commissioner Steve Phelps gives us an update on Fontana. Welcome back to Break Hard. I'm Matt. Throwback weekend is just a few days away at Darlington, and the NASCAR Xfinity Series has absolutely dominated it so far. And I've got 3 more to show you because I think that they're all really, really well done. We'll start off with the number 42 from Young's Motorsport, that being driven by Anthony Alfredo, and it is a throwback to the Sterling Marlin, Jamie McMurray Coors Light Silver Bullet paint scheme. Really well done. Phenomenal job by all of them over there. Of course, Jamie McMurray took that car to victory lane at the Charlotte Fall race that year when Sterling got injured as well. So really cool paint scheme by them. And then we got dual Jeff Burton throwbacks. The first one coming from his son, Harrison Burton, which will be running the Sitco throwback. Always love that paint scheme. It looks great still to this day. And then we have Matt DiBenedetto driving an Exide Batteries paint scheme as well. Phenomenal job by both of them. Hats off to everybody in the Xfinity Series that has just dominated Throwback Weekend so far. We've seen some pretty good Cup ones as well, but the Xfinity Series continues to just exceed expectations and really play into what Throwback Weekend is all about, and I absolutely love it. So let's get into the biggest story of the week so far, and that would be Legacy Motor Club suing Rick Ware Racing. And at first, you're like, okay, it happened on April Fool's. Is this a joke? And then Jordan Bianchi is reporting on it, so you're like, it's definitely not a joke, because I don't think Jordan has jokes like that. He likes a good joke, but I don't think he's going to mess around on April Fool's Day like this. And no, it is actually happening. Legacy Motor Club is in fact suing Rick Ware Racing over a failed charter deal. So here's what happened, at least as far as we know so far. The two sides got together on January 6th, certainly a day in American history, and agreed and started having this conversation about Legacy Motor Club buying one of the Rick Ware Racing charters. Now, is that the one that's being leased out to RFK? Is that the one that they currently have for Cody Ware? That remains to be seen as of now. Then the two sides agreed on a deal on March 3rd, and it seemed like this was going to happen. Legacy Motor Club drew up the contract, sent it over to Rick Ware Racing. Rick Ware signed the contract, initialed on every single page. That is a big time detail here, and then sent it back to Legacy Motor Club, and then wanted to renege on the deal. He got cold feet at the altar like he was Sally Field in Smokey and the Bandit and wanted out of it. Except, well, he's already signed all the documents here. Why did he want out of it? Well, according to Rick Ware, the original deal was for Legacy Motor Club to take possession of that charter for the 2027 season, meaning Rick Ware would have it for 2026 as well. Well, in the documents that Legacy sent over and that Rick Ware signed and initialed, the date was for 2026, that Legacy would have that charter in their possession. So for next season, they would have a 3-car team. Rick Ware Racing says that's not what they agreed to, and now we have this ongoing court battle because Legacy Motor Club has requested an injunction from the courts to get that charter that they believe is theirs. Now here's the thing. I think Legacy Motor Club is definitely standing on the upper foot here because Rick Ware still signed and initialed every single page of this agreement and then sent it back over. This should have been a done deal, but now it's going to be in the courts. We'll have to wait and see how a judge decides on this. But as it stands right now, based on what we know, everything seems to be in Legacy Motor Club's favor as it currently stands. Legacy Motor Club even went as far to say that Rick Ware Racing is cash strapped, that Legacy Motor Club's headed in the right direction while Rick Ware continues to run at the back, which I don't know how much of that is true because the 42 and the 43 have certainly struggled mightily over the last 2 seasons. They've shown speed at this time. Don't get me wrong. They got double stage points last weekend before the 43 got DQ'd. But they're certainly not, Trackhouse or 2311 Racing or any of these other newer teams at this point. So, yeah, that was kind of funny to me. But Rick Ware did put out their own statement on Wednesday. This lawsuit distorts the actual facts and is a misguided attempt to tarnish our reputation. Rick Ware Racing has negotiated in good faith and operated with the highest standards of integrity and professionalism. We are confident that the truth will prevail and look forward to swiftly resolving this matter through the proper legal channels. So Rick Ware Racing believes that they didn't do anything wrong here and that things are going to be in their favor. Again, we're going to have to wait for a court to decide on this one. The lawsuits in NASCAR this year, people are just firing left and right. Maybe we just calm down a little bit. But it's curious that Legacy wants to expand to a 3rd car. Obviously, they've struggled with their 2 cars, getting them up and running. They've done a lot of hiring over there in Statesville at Legacy Motor Club with Jimmy Johnson, and now they're sports fund partners as well. We'll have to wait and see how all of it plays out here. Curious to see who they're going to get for that third ride. Obviously, Corey Heim has a deal with 2311 Racing. He's going to be in select races for them this year in the Cup Series as well as next year in the Cup Series, according to Denny Hamlin. So I don't think he's really an option over there. I'm wondering if they were wanting to bring in a pay driver for that spot to kind of, offset some of the cost of it. I don't know. I'm not really sure which direction they're going right now, and maybe I'll try to dig in and explore that a little bit, but they need to actually have that third charter first. So for now, Legacy says that they're in the right. Rick Ware says they're in the right. Somewhere the truth lies in the middle, and now it's up for the courts to decide. On Wednesday, Hendrick Motorsports, along with Era McLaren, unveiled Kyle Larson's two cars for the Indianapolis 500 and the Coke 600 this year. Obviously, last year's attempt was interrupted by rain in Indianapolis. Hendrick Motorsports' Kyle Larson elected to stay in Indianapolis and complete all 500 miles, and then the plan was to get to Charlotte as quickly as possible and try to finish the Coke 600, which was ultimately red flagged and ended early because of humidity and rain that preceded it as well. Larson never got in the car in Charlotte, which looked to be a pretty fast car as well. This year, Hendrick Motorsports continues to stress, like George Bush, read my lips, we will be in Charlotte. They cannot say that enough, that they will be in Charlotte for the green flag at the Coke 600. It doesn't matter if Kyle Larson is leading the Indianapolis 500. They will pull him from the car to take him to Indianapolis after the debacle that happened last year where NASCAR left him in championship purgatory for a long time. Apparently, there are a lot of pissed off people at NASCAR. A lot of people at one Daytona that were not happy about it. And hey, I get it. You want your biggest stars to be there for one of your crown jewel races. You're committed to running this series, right? Now you're over here gallivanting around in a competitor series. It's an up in the air argument. You can argue it both ways. Regardless, Kyle Larson had a good showing at the Indy 500, ultimately spent on pit road and didn't get the finish that he would have likely had somewhere in that 4th to 8th place finish there. Now we'll see what he can do this year. Obviously, they have a hybrid component on the car. It's going to feel different. He will get to do his ROP at the test, which comes up later this month, I believe, in April. And then his stand-in will be Tony Kanaan if he does, in fact, have to get out of the car as well. But they unveiled the cars. A lot less papaya this year on Larson's IndyCar. He has sponsorship from Prime Video, which of course will be doing a Kyle Larson documentary following him, profiling him, and his attempt to complete the double this year, complete all 1,100 miles. And hopefully he does it because, like I said yesterday, it's a small group of people that have ever done that. And now we'll get to see if Kyle Larson can add his name to that group. Was it Kurt Busch, John Andretti, Robbie Gordon, Tony Stewart as the guys that have actually done both races in the same day? Yeah, be pretty cool for him to get that done. His Cup car, it doesn't look too different than last year. A little bit less orange on it as well, but still kind of your very identifiable HendrickCars.com Chevrolet for him there. Overall, I think both cars are looking fine. Another blue and white Indy car is not going to be the easiest thing to spot out there, but for Larson, they're both good-looking cars. Obviously, his Indy car from last year is up on the shelf here. Grabbed one of those when I was in Indianapolis because it's a cool event, right? It's cool to see a crossover happen like that. The diecast were gone pretty quick last year as well. They're doing the double diecast again this year. I think it was $195 when I looked on his website earlier. So if you're a collector out there, that is available. If you try to buy it at the track, last year I believe it was $250 to buy it at the track, at least from the McLaren merch hauler as well. So yeah, pretty cool overall. Who's going to practice his car at the All-Star race at North Wilkesboro? Obviously last year I had Kevin Harvick do that. This year he offered it to Carl Edwards. Carl said he's not going to do it. Jeff Gordon said on the announcement today that it will be a junior motorsport driver, somebody that fits into Kyle Larson's seat. So I would expect Justin Allgaier to do the practice and qualifying as well. I don't know if Larson did qualifying last year. Regardless, he'll be practicing the car for Larson for next year. Larson did do qualifying last year. So we'll see how all of that plays out. But overall, pretty decent looking cars. And now we'll get to see them on track in 2 months' time at this point. No, next month. I forgot it's April already. Holy crap. All right, last topic of the day. We got an update on the Fontana short track. Well, the proposed Fontana short track from NASCAR's newly minted commissioner, Steve Phelps, who was on NASCAR's Hauler Talk podcast this week. And he gave us our most definitive update to this point. Obviously, we got an update a couple weeks ago, and it was more of like this, we want to do it. We're not sure if we're going to do it, that type of thing. And now this time, we finally have a number figure around it, thanks to Steve Phelps, and kind of what their thought process is right now. So I'll read you what he said about the track and then kind of break it down a little bit from there. Phelps said, quote, that market is an important market for us. What the future for that particular facility is, I'm still unsure. Would I like to build a new facility at Fontana? I would. It would be a short track because we don't have the room for anything else, frankly. Do I think creating a short track out there would be a cool thing for us? Yes. With that said, it's $300 million to build that facility. Is that the best use of that money? That is a big question. The cost of capital right now is still really high. So for us to just press pause right now is essentially what we're going to do. Trying to be as transparent about that as possible. But yeah, I love to build a facility out there. When that is going to happen, or if that is going to happen, I don't have a timeline. So for the first time, we finally get a number figure attached to it, and it's $300 million. And that's a little bit under what I had said in a previous video a couple weeks ago, where I threw out like that $400 to $500 million range. $300 million is a substantial amount of money. You're basically talking about over half the money that they made from the sale of that Fontana property, which some of that money from that sale went to offset the costs of bringing all of their racetracks private as well at ISC and paying off some of that debt. So now you're talking about spending $300 million to build a short track in a market where they desperately want to be, that Los Angeles market, except Fontana is 45 to an hour outside of Los Angeles proper. And is that really where you want to spend that money to build this type of facility? Obviously, NASCAR would love to have a crown jewel facility out on the West Coast, that being in California. They, of course, have one in Phoenix. They're really proud of that. They spent a lot of money. It is a great facility from what everybody says. The racing's just not great. Now, they would love to have great racing and a great facility in the second biggest media market in the country, that being Los Angeles. But does it make sense to spend $300 million on that? And my argument was, when I made this video a couple weeks ago, is, hey, when you look at it, if you're going to spend $300 million, would you rather take $40 million a year and set that aside to have a street race in Los Angeles or a street race in San Diego, somewhere in that Southern California market? Is that a better use of that money than building a permanent facility? Because you can get, 6, 7, maybe 8 years out of that same amount of money and have an event that is going to attract more people likely than that street or that short track is going to out in Fontana. So I think that's where NASCAR has to measure this at right now. And that's obviously what they're doing, because $300 million is a big time expenditure to build a short track where you're not 100% sure if people are going to come out and attend, right? It's not in the most desirable location. It struggled with attendance before, and now having a short track there, yeah, you're going to see this bump for year 1, year 2, but it isn't a facility that people are going to travel for. Would I travel to go out there to check it out? Yeah, I would. But are you going to get your more casual fans to want to make that trek to Fontana? That's the part where I think I'm unsure, and obviously they're a little bit unsure of as well. So for now, they're going to hit pause on it, continue to hit pause going forward. And obviously things all really changed with the pandemic and everything else, that came out of that. Now you're having to worry about, other different economic factors, tariffs, the rising cost of labor, the rising cost of capital, as he says. And then you have to deal with all the regulations as well as building something new in California, which they can get around. They can certainly figure that out, pretty easily. There's just a lot of obstacles in the way, to the point where, is the juice worth the squeeze, as people like to say? And right now, I don't think it is. I think you're better off doing temporary circuits. At the same time, though, having a world-class short track facility on the West Coast would be phenomenal. Would love to see it. Just not sure it currently makes sense in this climate for NASCAR. So we'll continue to wait and see what happens at Fontana. But I appreciate that he was, 1, transparent, and 2, threw out a number for it as well, and kind of just admitted, hey, we can't do this right now. It doesn't make sense. And I think that makes sense for everybody. It's different than a football stadium. It's different than a baseball stadium that gets, a decent amount of public funding for it as well. Not everyone does. Not everyone gets that. Oakland certainly didn't get that. Others, aren't willing to do that. Everything here has to be privately funded for the most part. So it's asking for a big spend for, something where they're not sure if they're going to make their money back on it, in the long term. So gonna have to wait and see how it all plays out. So let me know in the comments what you think about Legacy Motor Club suing Ware Racing, Kyle Larson's Indy 500 Coke 600 rides, as well as Steve Phelps' comments on the proposed short track in Fontana. Like and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on TikTok @BreakHard, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook @BreakHardBlog.